Okay, we're live.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to Unprinted Pages, and we get to have Tish Macwebber today. And I am so excited. She's going to tell us about her books. She's going to tell us about being a author and her new program, and all sorts of other lovely, fun things about Tish. So, hi, Tish.
Hello. It's good to be here.
Yay. Would you please tell us a little bit about yourself to begin with, as an intro?
I am coming in from Canada. I live in New Brunswick. I grew up in Nova Scotia. They are neighboring provinces. And New Brunswick is north of Maine, if anybody's wondering geographically where that is in Canada. I'm living in the Atlantic time zone, which is the same one as Bermuda, which is kind of cool, but it's definitely not the same weather. So it's an hour ahead of Eastern, and that confuses a lot of people because I deal with people all through North America, and a lot of people don't think past Eastern time zones. So it can be fun to try and manage times and appointments, but eventually everything all works out and it's all good. I am an indie published author. My books are available on Amazon with the pen name Tish Macwebber. And I started writing to honor a friend, but when I finished that book, it not only helped me deal with the loss of that friend, but it also helped me heal from the loss of my pets as well, all cats mostly. And that book didn't make the picture, but that's okay. It's From Where I'm Sitting, a collection of cattails. And that book is my first book. I considered it my practice book when I wrote it, but it's real. I can hold it in my hands. I can read pages out of it. And it's the book I use to keep the memory of all the wild and fun things that happened with the cats that I had before the time I wrote the book. I now have just one cat named Jazzy, and she may or may not appear. She's been known to visit me when I'm online talking to people. So she's currently under the covers on the bed having her cat nap, and I don't know if she'll venture out or not.
I love Jazzy and I love the TikToks with Jazzy. And yes, time zones are hard. I'm in Central and still had to recheck a couple times to make sure I had the right time zone to get the video going.
Yeah, because there's a time zone in between us. Most people don't have to worry about that, but I do. And if you're even further east in Newfoundland, it's another 30 minutes ahead of my time.
That's lots
So
of
if you ever
fun.
deal with any authors in that direction, it's a little more challenging, but manageable for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's taken me a little while to get on the right page. So, speaking of pages, you said that the first book didn't work?
It didn't show up. I didn't see it. Here it is.
Oh, it didn't show up?
I saw 2 books. So there's the cover of the first book I wrote.
Okay.
and that's okay.
Oh, that's why. Oh,
Have
the reason
fun.
I just picked a couple of books. I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I love this one and I love this one because the format I was given, you put a couple of the books up, you put the picture up, and I'm like, that's awesome. But I have shared all your other books so far. But yeah,
Yeah.
speaking of that, you can see them all here, and I have them all luckily, and that makes me happy.
It's good to know. There is a story in the bottom right one. It's the Coffee House Writers Anthology, or it's my
Yeah.
bottom right when I'm facing the screen, the one with the coffee cup.
Yes.
And the story in there is called Candy that I wrote.
Hmm.
That story is going to be featured in my upcoming fantasy trilogy. And, writing, once you have that first book in your hand, then it's something that you definitely want to keep experiencing.
Hmm.
And it's a feeling when you hold it for the first time. It's been compared to birthing a book. I don't know if I would go that far with the description. I
Yeah.
don't children. I've never given birth, so I don't know if it's even close to an equivalent. But it is something that you have to put an effort into, spend time on, and grow as you write.
Yes.
So it is something that may be loosely comparable, but just having something that you made in your hands and it's an actual proper book. It's not, you know, something you put together with paper and construction paper and staples on your own.
Mhm.
It's actually a real book that people can buy. It's a feeling that it's hard to put into words when it happens. And in fact,
Mhm.
when I went live with the book and flipped through it, I did get emotional because I did see the chapter about my friend that I wrote the book in honor of. There are two chapters in that book about
Mhm.
her and her pets. And just seeing that made me get emotional. And I had to stop the live video at that point. And I know people understood. And I
Mhm.
tend to ramble. So I was probably talking too long anyway. Add coffee, talk even more and faster.
Always fun. And yes, becoming an author is like becoming a parent because as you've made the thing, but also as you continue doing it like a parent, you grow with the what you've made. You get better and better as they get better and better. As for birthing, it didn't exactly feel like birthing, but it felt like an accomplishment.
Yes, that I could definitely get behind. It's something you can be immensely proud of because you created it.
Yes, that I am. I know that feeling very well. I finally published a poetry book that I've wanted to do since I was a teenager, and I totally get that idea. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
thank you.
Yes. So, in the author part of me, I think I might have four books now that are bouncing around in my brain. And
Mhm.
one of them is actually book one of a trilogy. So, technically, that's six. And it's hard to contain the excitement when a new one pops into my mind. But at the same time, I do need to focus on writing and get a lot more of that done, which I'm going to be really scheduling time out for that once my
Mhm.
program starts because it's all going to have to work together.
Oh yes, that this program, from what we talked about so far, it has actually helped me a lot. It helped me feel better knowing that somebody else felt the same way I did, and that there's somebody going to work with me to get somewhere on my day to day clutter and everything, whether it be brain or physical. So I have appreciated that.
And that's the direction I'm going in. So, to close out on the author part of our chat, the fantasy trilogy will be coming. The Christian fiction book, I'm researching the Bible right now before I write that. So that's going to be at least a year in advance.
Ooh,
I'm
okay.
thinking about a romance book just because I know they are how most authors make their living. They are
Yeah.
books that people do buy, and I'm thinking about trying my hand at it. And the other thing would be the sequel to the Drop the Red Pen book in the Red Pen
Mhm.
series. I'm writing Pick Up the Red Pen as the second book, and
Um,
that I started in November.
awesome. On that one point though, as much as I love my romance books and my romance authors, there are still a ton of fantasy authors that make money that way too. So don't yeah, please don't just like pick a genre and stay with it when you have so many genres rolling around in that beautiful brain of yours.
Yeah, if I pick up romance, it's going to be my author side hustle, so to speak. It's not going to be the main thing I'm doing, but it
Mhm.
is going to be something I do to try and generate income faster. In regards to the fantasy trilogy, I'm taking the time with it to make sure it's done properly, and that's why I've got several books out in different genres before I tackle it because I want to make sure that when I write it, I'm ready. I have a
Mhm.
solid storyline with a plot, which is not something I'm used to doing is building a plot. Fantasy people also like a map, and I'm going to have to develop that.
Gregory D. Little writes he writes all the scenes, and after he writes, like, he has a idea of the beginning and the end, and then he writes the in between as he comes up with the scenes. So
Mm-hmm.
it is possible to not have like a nailed down plot like you haven't, but still make it a wonderful book. And
I
I
don't,
know you have that ability,
yeah, I don't
but
think
you
it's
just
ever going to be
bring
nailed
it
down
your
with
way.
me. I really don't think it's ever going to be nailed down, but I do have a beginning idea, a middle, and an end. And I talked to an author who was at our local library. By the way, everybody should have a
Mhm.
library card, they're free. I talked to a local author who was doing a reading from her book, Kelly Armstrong. She's Canadian like me. And I told her I want to write a fantasy trilogy, but I didn't know what to do with the middle book. And her response gave me the confidence I needed to start working on it because she said, "Oh, the middle book is where you have fun because there's no real defined beginning or end. So you get to play in the middle book." And that's something that really spoke to me, and I've kept it in my mind as I think about the development of this trilogy. And the reason I want to write a fantasy trilogy most of all is because it's what I love to read. It's my favorite thing
Oh
to
yeah.
do is to pick up a trilogy. And fans today, some are not really feeling that because of the instant gratification that people look for in today's world. But if you can take a story and it's too big for one book, then it needs to be in more than one book. And there are current examples of that right now that are quite popular, including if you think of The Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
but also if you look at Game of Thrones, the
Mhm.
books for that series, and the Wheel of Time series. That's 14
Oh yeah.
books long. And,
Oh yeah.
you know, I don't want to have the same thing happen to me that happened to Robert Jordan. He was chronically ill when he was writing the Wheel of Time series, and he died before he got to finish it. That would be something that would haunt me in the afterlife
Yeah.
because it would be something that I would feel like I let my fans down if I never got to finish it. So I have started writing, and I'm about 11,000 words into it.
Ooh.
So if you think about a classic novel length, it's anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000 words. So what I'm aiming for is 150,000 words to have three books of the correct size And if I end up with more than that, I'm okay with it, as long
Mhm.
as I can edit it to where it makes sense.
Mhm.
And that would be 10% of whatever I come out with, is generally what an editor's looking at.
And I know it's going to be great because I've loved every other story you've written. So I have full faith this is going to be a fun read. And I I think I'm going to read your stuff no matter what genre you're in. So that should be fun.
Well, that's the thing. It's the general school of thought with authors is to choose a genre and really market and promote yourself in that genre. I've
Hmm.
never done that. So anyone who follows me as an author will need to understand that you're following me as an author, not the genre I write in.
Yeah,
And it's similar to what I want to be doing on my YouTube channel. They tell you to niche down when you're working on your social media platform for content creation and everything. And a lot of content creators right now are getting burned out because they've chosen a niche, which is a subject. But I want the niche to be me and what I'm doing so that I don't get bored. I don't get pigeonholed into one thing. And I feel the same about the genres that I'm writing in for the books. I will not write in every genre, but
that's okay.
I have fun in the ones that I do play with.
And I like the content you have been making. I like the random cat videos. I like the talking about real life things. I like the talking about your stories. The different your niche is Tish, but Tish is a very different animal than say Mr. Beast or bedtime tales with Celosia Crane. You're going to do videos your way, like she has or he has. And I have no idea why Mr. Beast came to mind first, but that's probably conversation with my husband last night. But either way, you're going to find your route. But I think the fun thing about Tish is you're not one thing. You're so many things. And that's why I keep watching and keep coming back. That's why I want other people to see you, other people to read your stuff, because you have help books, you have books about cats, you have books about fairies, but you also and like it's all linked from the heart. And that's beautiful.
It's a really good way to summarize all things Tish. Um, a few years ago, I was in a challenge, and it was a photo challenge where we were given a prompt for 30 days. We had to submit our photos for those 30 days, and someone won a prize at the end. They did a draw. And the first day set my tone for that contest because I think it was maybe 10 or 12 days and we had 30 days to submit, something like that.
Mhm.
We didn't have to take a full 30 photos because we only had 10 prompts or a dozen prompts or something. And they gave us, ample time to do it in a month. But the very first prompt was something she wore. And I have a lot of clothes. I didn't want to focus on the clothing. And so I did a selfie, and it's going to be redone soon because I have new glasses coming and I want to update some of my photos that I share probably after my haircut. It's getting long. When it's too hot to sleep at night, my hair's too long. And but when I took that photo, it was a selfie before I had a selfie stick. So I was stretched as far out as I could be with the camera, but I had my hand like this and I had a t-shirt on. I was wearing black, and I took a black eyeliner and I drew a heart like it was a tattoo on my forearm and filled it in with red
Mhm.
lipstick and then did my lips to match. And the title of the photo was She Wears Her Heart on Her Sleeve. And that is something that I've always done no matter what. It is hard. They tell you you need to be tough, you need to get a thicker skin. You know, you have to develop a thicker skin to deal with the world. And I am able to navigate it in the best way I can. And sometimes it is hard.
Mhm.
But I also feel like if I shut out my emotions, then I'm not being myself. And that's something that's really important to me is to be me in all the different
I agree.
areas that I'm in. So that shows up in the books. And I mean, even the Tishspiration book, that's my nonfiction book. It is just learning about how to put yourself out there and do things. And the path I took, even though it bounces all over the place like my brain does, it does, every chapter does have a point. And that's something I've learned as an editor is to find things in the story that are not in the right place to move them around instead of criticizing myself as an author and deleting paragraphs or pages. I look at it and say, it's not in the right place. Where could this fit so it makes more sense? Because that's how my thoughts are. They are all over the place. And I know how to make them make sense, but nobody else does.
Mhm.
So when we take that and lean into the program, it's going to be fun.
Mhm.
There will be time for reflection because I believe to bring out our muse, we need to first go through what we're going through to
Mhm.
invite our muse back into our world. And the course is going to have 4 different sections, and it'll be based on quarters of the year. So 3 months in each section. The first one, Make Room for Magic, is when we deal with physical clutter. And I don't know about everyone else out there, but I've been trying to spring clean my home since I moved in. And that's been over 10 years ago. It's not my fault. And I say that because I have actually lived at one point in 11 homes in the span of 10 years when I was through university and finishing university. So when you do that, the regular maintenance cleaning becomes just what you need to do to get by. You pack everything up, you clean the place before you move in, you move your stuff, you clean your place after you leave, and it's within a year. It's not going to go a little bit awry like it has by now here. So I know how to clean, but prioritizing it has not been something that I'm very good at with other things as well. I get easily distracted. I use music to focus, which is something that might help someone out there. And until I discovered why things are the way they are with me, it was
Mhm.
really hard for me to fit into certain types of work environments.
Mhm.
And working from home is also challenging because I need to remember to work, to build things to generate income. But I like to have fun. And if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to keep doing whatever I'm working on. And
Mhm.
that's important in everything I do. So, the program I'm building, yes, we're going to be rolling up our sleeves and dealing with all the physical clutter in our, you know, wherever it impacts your life, whether it's your home, your office, your home
Yes.
office, or your work office, all those places. Because you may have a space that does look wonderful. And I have a background that I use for my YouTube videos that is with my back to my bookcase. in a chair and I sit and I get in my little corner and nobody else can see the hot mess express that's happening in the house behind me. Same as today. And a lot of people feel ashamed about that. And I don't think that's a proper way to be.
Mhm.
There are people who have problems, and I'm watching Midwest Magic Cleaner YouTube channel. I'm getting such a kick out of him, and it's also helping me figure out how to set up my videos for cleaning
Mhm.
because real time cleaning is going to be hours, and nobody has hours to watch me clean unless it's a body doubling situation. And there's nothing creepy about that. It's when you and someone else are not in the same location, but you're working on whatever you need to work on and each other's kind of accountability partners. That's what that
Mhm.
means for any viewers who don't know what that means. And that is something that there is a time and a place for that. I don't think it's going to be very prominent in the cleaning because I don't do a lot of things very quickly.
Yeah.
And, instead of me dragging my feet, sometimes you might see it, but you wouldn't need to hear it. If it's on the higher speed, I think it'll be easier for people to digest the bites that they need to from it with a
Mhm.
voiceover. And it's not going to be a marathon of 3 months of straight cleaning because nobody would ever show up if that's what it was going to be. So we will have times where we take a break. We will have times where you might see me dancing and not hear the music because I'm going to have music playing when I clean. And, you can giggle at that on the inside. And that's part of one of the perks of being in the program is that you'll see all that stuff and you'll be able to use what applies to your spaces.
Mhm.
If you're someone that's looking at my program and thinks, well, maybe there's someone out there who has done the work, does the regular spring cleaning, everything is in control in their home, but they aren't able to find their muse. Then there's another block that we need to uncover. And that's something that I also want to make sure people understand is that there are things you see and things you don't see that are blocking you from creativity. And if you work to figure out what those problems are and get to the root of the problem, your muse will come back and things will start to flow a little bit better. And the more you do, the better it'll get. This is the first run of this program. It's the first time I'm putting together a year long program. I've done a lot of programs online, a lot of free webinars and workshops, and I've done a lot of self learning as well, watching different, for me, cleaning people was the priority, and learning different methods of cleaning. There are a lot of them out there.
Mhm.
And I don't know exactly if I'm going to put any of them to use or just develop my own because I've taken in a lot of information, but that doesn't mean that I won't share with someone. If there's a person who's struggling in a certain area, then I may share the resource of, well, check out this YouTube channel because this person has already mastered that, has a system, and it might work really well for you. Because I've done the research on a number of different cleaning programs and styles, that's something that I can help people with. And just doing it, just getting things clean. It's something that has been on my mind since I thought up the program. This is the first step. You remove the physical clutter. It is an invisible block to creativity. You can see it, but you don't necessarily connect it with being a block to creativity, and that's where the invisible is. The second
That
quarter,
is.
we're going to move into the unseen. We're going to unclutter the unseen, and that comes in things like what's in your head, what's on your computer, all the pictures on your phone, digital things, but not just that. If you have a bucket list, if you write it down, chances are you might actually get to check some things off. There's a whole lot of things that we can do in that quarter that will help. And I asked my husband the other day in the car, I said, look, if I get all of my photos in a Google Drive and ask you to look at them objectively and tell me which ones to keep and which ones to delete without actually deleting anything, is that something you could do? And he said yes, and that I have way too many photos of me with funny faces. And I'm like, yeah, but some of those actually show up on my social media and I make them work. Something that, like, if I only have perfect pictures of me on social media, people are going to think that I think I'm perfect, and I'm far from it. You will see from time to time a variety of faces. And, if I'm looking for a photo and he comes behind me, and the reason that this is important is because I need to stop the scroll on my own hard drive. I did learn this through Clubhouse, and it's not something that's a foreign concept to me, but at the same time, it's not something I am an expert at. And something I would love to do is bring experts into the program. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but I would love to be able to expose people in the program to different creators out there who they might not follow on YouTube, but maybe it'll be somebody they would follow because they've been introduced to that style and it actually seems to be something they might be interested in. I'm not an expert at everything, but I do know enough to be able to share my knowledge and to share resources. And that's something that is going to happen in my program. I'm going to be doing the work, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to be the person who knows everything, because that's why I'm building this program. It's to help people, myself included, who need to take control of their life in the different areas we're looking at. So making room for magic is for the physical, unclutter the unseen is for digital and inside your mind, and the things that you can't see when you open your eyes and look in a room but are there and they're cluttering things up. The next one is schedule for success. And once we have a handle on things, we need to maintain it, but also realize that by doing all the work we've done up to that point, it's time to celebrate. It's time to realize that we have accomplished so many things in 6 months that we might not have done on our own, and that we can move forward to create a schedule that works for our lifestyle, for our maintaining of the work we did. Because if we do it and walk away, then it's going to fall apart and be a problem in the future. And that's not something that I want to leave people with. I don't want to help you fix everything, walk away, and think everything's going to be great now. I'm famous for that. If I set up a system, it's good. I don't ever have to touch it again. And I may not even dust it because it's good the way it is. But that's not really the way things should be. Things need to be moved around and dusted. Things need to be refreshed. And that's something that if you have a space that you feel is already set and it doesn't need to be touched, I have a plan for someone, if they should decide to join the program, that is in that boat, to help them figure out what they can do in that first 3 quarters or the first quarter of the year, to be doing something alongside us that is still going to help them have an accomplishment at the end of that 3 months and have a transformation in something. I don't want to give too much away because I don't know if that person is going to sign up, or if I will be starting with people who are just like me in the Hot Mess Express, trying to find the creativity train. And the reason I'm using the logo that I am for the Hot Mess Express and the creativity train is because Tishpiration Station is where it all connects.
Okay. Is this the one we're talking about, or are we talking about one of the other two?
So we're looking at this right now. We've got the 4 logos here on this picture.
Yes.
So the top two have already been talked about. The strategize for success is the orange, number 3, and
Mhm.
that is when you figure out your week, whether you're going to use time blocks, how you're going to maintain everything you've done so far, and allow yourself to have the time you need to work with your creative side, because that's the whole point of this, is to be able to be creative
Mhm.
without the guilt, without the overwhelm, without the should be doing this instead, without analysis paralysis, because everything will be ready by the time we get to strategize for success, for us to start working on how this looks on the other side of all that clutter. And then when we finish off the year, we're going to be working on extract and execute. And that is when we have spent 3 months figuring out what we want to keep. At this point, we stop doing the things that are not helping us so that we can be more efficient in what we're doing. And, there are lots of trains of thought of how to do all of these things.
Mhm.
But if you put them all together, I mean, I've been working on things for a while now here behind the scenes. And the more I do, the more excited I get. But the more creativity is coming to me too. So I know that the muse is there. The muse would not be there if, excuse me, there's an alarm on my phone. The muse would not be there if all of the clutter is blocking it. And I'm seeing my desire to create come back. I'm seeing the need to be creative to come back. It does come out right now in a bullet journal format. And, I discovered bullet journals and I like the aesthetic ones, but
Mhm.
if it's only pretty, it's not going to do the job either. For people who don't know, a bullet journal is basically a do it yourself planner, to put it in really easy to understand terms. It's known online as Bujo. And basically, it helps you prioritize your tasks, because if you list everything down and what you didn't finish in week 1, month 1, quarter 1, you have to move it over into the next quarter or the next month or the next week. And when you get tired of moving something week to week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, you start realizing what things you're never going to do and you just drop them from your list. And it helps you to prioritize what you need to focus on. It's really something that is a useful tool, and we can look at that inside of the probably the strategize for success and then the execute for excellence section, because if you start it, you'll figure out what works for you. And maybe you are a planner person, maybe you need an actual structured planner, you just need to find the style that works for you, and that will be what you need. Maybe you're a digital planner and you need to work only from your Google Calendar or whatever planning software you use. For me, I like a combination of digital and analog, I guess is what it's called, where I'm doing some of the work myself, but I'm also working on creating footage for my YouTube channel that would involve some of that creation, because I think for me it's a spark, and when the spark of creativity hits, I get really excited and I can't wait to start working on things. So,
Mhm.
for example, this background here is based on what I use for the Appetite Club, which is a free Facebook group that I've created to feed creativity. Appetite is spelled Apatite because it's the name of a crystal. It's not about being hungry. And we feed your creativity there because the Appetite crystal is not only involved with boosting creativity, but also suppressing hunger. Go figure. So the way I look at it is, if your hands are busy, you're not snacking. If you're busy creating things with your hands, then that's how it helps to suppress my appetite. If I'm busy with a cross stitch or drawing or working on my bullet journal or writing, I'm not looking for the snacks. And if I am, I bought a lot of carrots because it's time for me to start snacking better. But the things that I'm focusing on moving into the launch of the program are to get ready for that. And the graphic that you shared is the color scheme that I'm going with because you spark your creativity, you spark your muse into back into life when you remove all of the blocks that are in the way that you don't even know are there.
Oh yeah.
And then managing it and maintaining everything you've done while moving forward, that's when things are really going to be fun because people are going to start understanding going through those first 120 days. 120, that's 180 days of the year minus a week. Human tried to get it ready for the first, still working on it. But people who are going through that process are going to have results as long as they put in the work because I've seen it. I just have to clean a little bit around my desk, and all of a sudden, I feel better about being here. And that's going to help me write more. I had to decide when I started writing books if I was going to write by hand or on the computer. There are less steps if I write it on the computer, so that's how I write. And I've learned how to find the excitement and the connection of writing on the computer as if I was writing by hand. Not everybody can do that, but I do
I
find that
I was fixing to say I have not gained that. I just have to start on the notebook, and then after I get it started in the notebook, I can transfer and move forward.
and that's a process a lot of writers have. The reason I am adapting to writing more on the computer from start to finish is simply to save a step. And in that translation, yes, there would be editing that would happen between the paper and the computer. And that's another thing that I one thing at a time because I do fall into that habit of picking up that red pen when I'm not supposed to. And that's what that book is about, Drop the Red Pen. It's about writing, not editing as you write. If you want to
Mhm.
finish, you need to push through.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a helpful thing to have a objective point of view to help you figure out when you pick up the editing process and when you pick up the creative process, and to know to help you understand you're not the only one that picks up the red pen more than you should. And I can
Yeah.
say from our talks, you have helped me a lot. With Josh and I, we attacked the closet. Then we figured out after attacking the closet, we could make the bedroom neater if we changed a few things. And the bedroom area is already a lot neater and easier to breathe in. So you have been very inspirational to us. So thank you.
I'm really glad to hear that. And it's about taking action. And for me, I've been in a learning mode for the last couple of years. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? I've got most of the answers now. And if you watch YouTube to learn things, you'll know when you've got to that point when the videos are boring.
Uh-huh,
You're not learning a lot of new things on the videos. That means you've gone past the step you were on and you need to go to the next step. Whether
uh-huh.
that's looking for more detailed videos on what you need to do or putting what you've learned into action into good use.
I agree. I have got to that point on certain organizational videos, and then I found out with Goodwill that I can get cheaper baskets, which I think are prettier than the clear things.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been collecting those to organize the different things for the kids. And I have uh, the cleaning supply videos, which like physical supplies, like which mop would be easier, which duster would be easier, and everything, and how they are used. With the house change, I had to find something that would work with the higher ceilings. So I had to learn about that. So, yeah, I agree. After a little while, you get past that point and you have to figure out how the next step goes.
Yeah,
And that is the hard part sometimes, figuring out after you've done that, what is the next step? How do I make it better?
exactly. And, you know, the last time my mom and dad stayed here, which is 2019, we've
Hmm.
seen each other since. They live in Ontario, and it's not easy to always see each other as much as we might like. But the last time they were here, my mom took a day in my main bathroom. She asked if she could clean it, and I knew that she'd feel better if, it was something that she wanted to do to help. I'm like, okay. So I provided everything she needed. I was busy working on something in the kitchen. Like I wasn't just, sitting down watching TV. I was
Hmm.
working on my kitchen at that time. And I asked her because she said, just, you need to remember, dust is the enemy. And I said, well, how do you deal with it? Well, you just go through the whole house. And then when you finish, you start again. And this is something I need to put into play. It's something that, I learned from my mom while I was learning all the other tips and tricks. And, I have a spin mop in a box behind me in the kitchen on the floor that I need to assemble and put to use. I've
Spin
started
mop?
trying to get things. A spin mop.
The
It's the kind where you use your foot to spin the water out of the
Oh,
mop.
the centrifugal port thing. Okay, yes, that thing is awesome, and I do recommend getting the multiple heads for that. That way you can have a dry one to help dust things with while you're using it to mop. That
That
I agree with that tool.
Yes, I got the Walmart one. I don't know if it's going to be as good as the name brand, but I'm going to give it a try. And that came about from having different mops that just didn't work.
Mhm.
And I'm to the point now where I need to find things that work. And I've never been one to shy away from trying new things.
Mhm.
If I'm at the grocery store and there's a new chocolate bar, I'm going to try it. Unless it says
I
there's ghost peppers in it. I don't do spicy.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that mop has been very helpful for my daughters and I in cleaning the house. So
Yeah.
I hope it is helpful for you too.
I've got the Swiffer pet floor sweeper things ready to
Mhm.
go. I didn't go with the Swiffer mop because I have pets, and I don't know if it's still the case, but their wet mops solution was not pet friendly, so I just avoided it. Not that
Um,
Jazzy has free reign of the house when I'm doing the floors anyway.
How I got around that is I found something that was kid and pet friendly. I made my own solution and I just used wash rags.
Okay, yeah,
That that is my solution with everything because I can't hurt my cat or my kid.
yeah, that's it. And I got pet friendly wipes for the litter
Mhm.
box so that I'm not using chemicals in the box where she needs to have her scent because that's how animals do things.
Mhm.
But I found it really helpful to have a routine for that. And it's taken me this long with one cat. We've been debating a kitten for a couple of years now. Jazzy's 4. So we've been debating a kitten for a while. And one of the concerns is she's been weird about her litter box since she was a kitten. And we had to kind of figure out how to get her to use the box, even though she did it at the shelter. So she's always been different and been alone here. Now, if I have a TikTok video going and there's a kitten of a certain volume, one
Mhm.
of the videos I made with one of the cat noises, she always runs, no fail. If I
Mhm.
play that video, she will run to come find out where the kitten is. So I think she'd be open to a kitten. and I'm hoping that everything will go smoothly. But we all know cats have their own minds about all different things.
They have their own minds, and each cat has a different mind
Yeah.
because Lunar is very different from Cosmo, and Jazzy is just special compared to. Well, Hinata's special too, but if you can, like, I don't know how well they'd get on together, type of thing. So yeah, but definitely that would be a fun thing to find out. Good luck with the kitten, though, if you
Yeah.
decide to get it.
Going to be a little bit yet. We're trying to figure out, you know, we don't want to take in another animal until we're financially able to support it because we don't want to have to make an awful decision. We don't want to deal with the fact that if we need to rehome anything. So Jazzy's a solo cat until we can afford another cat. And then when we can afford another cat, the next goal is Tish wants a dog. And she's been wanting a dog since high school, so it's gonna happen soon.
Okay, I hope you get your dream.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever get to the horse. That was the elementary school dream.
I don't want a horse again. I don't want a cow again. I'm happy with what I have. So, yeah.
I think realistically it might make more sense for me to look into riding lessons down the road to be able to work with horses but not necessarily be the owner and
Yeah.
see where that goes. And that's something I'm also willing to look at.
Do
Maybe in
you
a year.
have do you have farmer friends?
Farmer friends, no, but the city does have stables with riding lessons.
Okay. Because if you just want to like start trying to get used to horses, find a farmer friend that has horses. That way they can help you like start with standing and meeting the horses. Because
Oh, I've been around horses before.
okay.
In high school, I went to the local exhibition, basically a fair,
Mhm.
and I think I was in grade 11 and 12 when I went there, and I connected with the Belgium horses there, and they did rides, and I was so enamored with them. And the person that owned the horses knew my parents, I guess,
Mhm.
and or my mom, and when they found out who I was, they were okay with me being around their horses in the stables. And I remember they handed me the reins and let me drive them around the ring, which was just
Oh, awesome.
amazing. Yeah, we went horseback riding on vacation in PEI, but I've never had official lessons. It's just been trail rides kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not scared of horses at all.
My little ones have trouble with animals, and as an adult, I have trouble with certain animals. So we start meeting before we try other things, which is why I have had that suggestion.
At
So,
one point, my husband managed a pet store here in the city. It's
mhm,
no longer a thing for him, and the pet store is gone. But
okay.
when I would go there would be a cockatoo and an African gray parrot that would need to come see me every time I entered the store.
Okay.
And one in particular, I remember I would go and I have a different sweater than I have on now, and I just stand with my arms out.
Hmm.
And she would run from one hand to the other and hang upside down off my sweater. And she
That's
just
cool.
used to have a lot of fun when I visit. And I wouldn't be opposed to having a large bird as a pet either someday down the road. I think it would need to be a rescue, a bird that needs a home. And I don't know if I'm in the right home right now to give it the space it needs.
Okay.
But I
I have.
wouldn't be opposed to. We've often talked about having, I don't know the word right off the top of my head right now, but it's not a terrarium because that's small and it's in glass, but a similar idea, but in your house where you have like running water and plants
Mhm.
and a solarium, maybe.
That sounds better. I'm not sure about the word personally.
I would like to have something like that with birds in it, a place to go have my coffee so they wouldn't be like always loose. because the coffee's
Yes.
important and it shouldn't have presents dropped in it. But
Yeah, having a place for the bird to be has always been the best in my house. We had a cage set up, but also we would bring the bird out, let them talk and play because for some odd reason we usually had parrots.
yeah, I don't know how well Jazzy would adapt to that.
I
She
don't.
hunts Roy and I for fun,
Well, so does
tries to sneak
Lunar.
up on us and tackle us and surprise us. And yeah, I don't know how that would work with her.
I don't know, but it's should be interesting finding out. I haven't tried with Lunar. Our baby bird died before they can meet each other, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know how it would work. And so it's something I've like in the back of my mind, maybe. We have had, we have an aquarium now. We've had a rat, gerbils, hamsters, a rabbit, and cats,
I have,
all apartment friendly.
I have
And
not
then,
done the rabbit.
funny story, the rabbit was named Buttons because it left buttons everywhere it went.
That makes sense. Perfect name for a rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a number of different pets along the way, and I've always loved animals. Roy and I met going to an agricultural college,
Hmm.
and we were both in the pre-vet program. Neither one of us went to vet school, but that's where we met.
Awesome.
So
Rabbits,
animals, they're always going to be around.
yes, animals are awesome. Rabbits are the only ones I don't plan on having, but also they hurt me, but my kids love them, so we go visit them and mommy doesn't touch. But they have so much fun with the rabbits.
One of my high school friends has rabbits for her daughters, and they're therapy animals, therapy pets.
I can see how that would work.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to add about your program?
It's going to be done in true Tish style. I'm going to make a lot of it up as I go, but I have a lot
Yes.
of content to work with inside my mind. And that means that the more we get into it, just think about the whole process. The more we get into it, the more blocks I'll be removing from my own self as well as everybody that participates will be removing the blocks, but the creativity is going to come through. And when that starts coming, it's going to get really fun.
Hmm.
So it's not going to be boring. I can almost guarantee that. I don't want to say 100% guarantee because someone will go in it just to get bored and tell me they're bored. And that's not the plan.
No.
But yeah, and I've already done some of the preliminary footage for it. So it's starting to actually happen, which makes it real, which means I get excited about what's coming.
So we're going to be ready by the 8th, according to your graphic.
By the 8th, there will be a link ready. I will have it open for a week to join for the initial run.
Hmm.
For anybody who is considering it, it's going to have a limited time to join in. I'm not sure if I'll reopen it every quarter. If I do, it may be for the previous quarter. You may not be able to join the program in part 2 if you haven't done part 1. To me, that doesn't make sense. But I do want to run it as an evergreen once we go through it the first time. And anybody that does sign up and join with the program, whether you pay monthly, quarterly, or an annual payment, once you've paid for the 12 months, you don't have to pay again for this program. And any updates made to it will be accessible by anyone who has gone through the program with no additional fees. Of course, if I start something else, then that's a whole new game. But I want to make people feel like they've gotten their value out of it, and I want to continue to add value even when it finishes.
Alrighty. What is going to be the next story you're working on?
I do have a deadline looming for February,
Yes.
and the Fey Corpse Inc. books have 5 stories in their anthologies with the same characters running through all 5 books in the stories I've written, and I have left a cliffhanger, so I believe it's time I look at wrapping that up,
We would appreciate
which
that.
means I need time very soon to write if I'm going to meet that deadline. And I did start a story a while back that I'm going to look at and see if it can be the completion of the cliffhanger and wrap that storyline up in that little mini series that I have going on.
That would rock.
So that means fans of Sandy and Claire, Pumpkin the cat, Ludwig von Hairball the cat, who has had to go under the Kittens Protection Program and change his name, and all the various Fae characters I've put into those stories are going to be out to play again very soon.
Okay. Okay. And sorry, I was looking at the comment to see if it's one I would put up. And that one we will take care of later. But do you have a nonfiction one you plan on making?
Nonfiction, the Tishpiration book is nonfiction. If I do anything more with that, if I create a new book in that area, then that will be something I'd look at down the road. And I'm also helping authors. So if you or someone you know is struggling with writing their first book, I would consider helping depending on what stage it's in. And I also have connections in the writing community that if you are at a stage and if I feel like you'd be a better match with someone I know who does the same kind of thing in a different way, then I may be able to connect you with someone who could help you get that done if it's not going to be me. I do that too.
That is awesomeness. Okay. And what flavor coffee are we drinking today?
Today it is the Newfoundland Screech,
The
which is rum
Newfoundland
flavored.
Screech?
Yes, it's rum flavored coffee by Jumping Bean.
Okay. Awesome.
I do generally drink Freddie Bean Roasters, and sometimes I just like the Keurig. When I drink their coffee, I put through the French press. And I like the All Nighter from theirs, their local company. But I am also going to be, in the next week or so, I'm probably going to be going live with a couple of different coffees. Something I've done since I started the author journey is review things on my Facebook. And I wanted to start with something fun, so I review coffee and wine. Not so much wine lately, but recently I did review the Jagermeister cold brew, and I put it in my iced vanilla coffee, and it was lovely. But you just never know what I'm going to be reviewing, and I have, I think, 7 different K cups to go through now. So originally I was going to go 2 in a day, and which one do I like better out of the 2? I may do that. If not, I've got 7 days worth of coffee cups to join people on my Facebook Live with and just talk about the coffee and whatever's on my mind.
Okay. At some point, we need to get together and review one of the Deadly Grounds flavors together.
That is something that made me curious when I saw the intro. Although
Dude, they have
it might
so
be a
many
little
different
scary.
flavors. Okay, yeah, he's kind of scary, but the coffee's awesome. And for ice coffee drinkers, just make the pot ahead of time the night before, put it in the fridge, and you'll have it in the morning. But yes, we have got to pick us a flavor and try it out. And you'll get it there, and I'll get it here, and then we'll see what we think. Because that would be a great thing to do.
Oh, it'd be
together.
fun. Yeah. And if there's
Okay.
any other coffee drinkers in our collection of people that join you on videos, then we could have a
Ooh. Yeah.
really adventurous tasting.
We can do it with Dell, but that'd have to be later in the evening when she wakes up. I don't know how late you drink coffee.
If it's just one cup, I might be able to sneak it in after supper. But
Okay.
generally, before supper, coffee, yes. And I mean, I could just taste it and not drink the cup.
Okay. Because
As much
I'm
of a
the
waste that would be and would make me sad at the time of day may dictate that.
I'm odd. I can drink 4 cups of the coffee and then down and fall asleep. So,
I'm wondering if part of it is a mindset because I've been drinking more coffee over the last year or so, and it
mhm,
hasn't really kept me up at night. So
it
I'm
will.
wondering if it's a mindset shift for me because I can drink coffee. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
still drinking coffee. I'll probably do another run of the Keurig before I'm done today. I do when I use the Keurig, I do 2 K cups a day, and I run the thing through twice. So the second one is a weak coffee. So
Hmm.
I'm drinking maybe 3 cups a day because it's a half strength, right, on the second run or less. And yeah, I'm not really worried about when I stop drinking the coffee anymore. Although if I want more after that, I usually do switch to decaf just because I know I don't need that much caffeine in my system.
Whereas I could drink coffee up until I go to bed and be perfectly fine. But it's one of my favorite drinks ever of all time. Um, okay. We're reaching the usual hour mark of the show. And I have 2 more questions. One,
Okay.
uh, what is your favorite character you've written so far?
I think I'm going to lean into Candy for that because some of the imagery that was in my mind as I was writing was really fun.
Okay.
When you're writing about a character that can feel the glitter boiling in their blood,
Yeah,
it's just something that brings to mind the imagination and sparks it. So I really had fun writing about that, and the other ways I sprinkled glitter into that story were a lot of fun.
okay. Which one would you like to go on a coffee date with most?
That's an interesting question.
Only
I think
once, only once. I didn't get to go on the coffee date with the character I liked most out of a book. I got to go on a coffee date with the actual author, and that was one of the coolest things ever that happened to me.
if I was going to pick a character for a coffee date out of the books I've written or the anthology stories, I think it would be interesting to go to coffee with General DeCath. He is the head of the Phaelite army in the Fae Corps series that I write anthologies in, and I think it would be really interesting not only to gather the span of knowledge that must be inside his mind,
Mhm.
but also to learn about the elves that I write about with that he's leaving in the army and how he came to be in that position.
That would be so much fun.
I
That
kind
I
of
would love
already
that.
am inside the heads of all the cats I write about, so that would be cheating.
Well, you are, but also from the end of just sitting down with a character. That's why I love The Number of the Beast so much by Robert A. Heinlein, because they do go to these different worlds and they do get to talk to them. Each of the different characters from stories they love to read. So, yeah, that would be amazing. Okay. I have to click down here. Where do we find the Tish?
Where do
Where
we
would you
find?
like us to find you?
You can
Other
find me.
than where you're sitting.
You can find me at Tishweber7 on Facebook. That's my personal public profile. And most of the things happen right there because that's where my largest audience is. But I can be found with the at Tish Macwebber on most social media platforms. And I have a website, one of four. The first one that is out is tishmacwebber.com, my author website. The other three are under construction and will be launched as soon as I can put them together. Being an entrepreneur that likes to have control over things, which is why I'm an indie published author, it didn't really cross my mind very long about looking for a traditional publishing contract because they are work and I like being in control of what I create.
Uh-huh.
So my website is up and there are more coming very soon. I do have 4 in total and they're all in various stages of development. So when they are ready, you'll probably see them shared on that Facebook profile. And yeah, same handle at Tish Macwebber for TikTok, Twitter, Threads. Pinterest is coming along. I'm going to be working on that this year. And of course, Facebook, I have an author page as well.
Yes, and I love all of them. Hey guys, and if you'd like to find me, please find me at Friday Blue with the Friday's library in the blue box. Friday Friday with the library in the blue box is the page. I can't talk today. Pardon me. Friday Blue's Disorganized Library is my book group. Please, you can find me on Fakeware, you can find me on Owlite, and we have joined the Dorkening. So please go check out the Dorkening and see all the different videos they have from games, comics, Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, Marvel, DC. It's all there. And come check out our stories at Owlite. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. There it is.